Hello and welcome to another exciting breakfast with Unity. Today we're going to play around with our meters one more time, but we're going to actually add events to them so that they do something. Now, what events are they're a special type of delegate, which we haven't really covered either. But they're simple enough, and actually I think they're the simplest delegate case, honestly. Like even though they're technically built on top of delegates, I think these are the easiest ways to really understand how delegates work. What a delegate is it basically allows you to create a pointer to a function. So you can basically treat a function as a variable. And what an event is it's designed for broadcasting delegates. You basically can have it's called the subscriber model, is what, if you want to search for what this is for. And it basically allows you to create a function that you can call, and when you call it, it goes to it calls it on every single object that is subscribed to this function. And there's a lot of different ways you can kind of communicate between objects, and we haven't really covered this one before, and I figured it was probably worth covering, even though this is kind of a simple case for it. But there are really good reasons to use events in games, especially if you have multiple things that need to figure out what's going on, or you're not quite sure if you know ahead of time who needs to know what's going on. If you want to define that at the object level rather than at the initial design level. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start with the health bar. Where's the oxygen? Oh, I didn't actually organize these, did I? Naturally. Oh, and I didn't make this a separate level. That's unfortunate. All right, I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to call this... I'll do the cleanup later. We're going to call this events. I'll get this cleaned up so that health bar and oxygen bar have a different level. So we're going to open up events, and what we're going to do is, I'm just going to create a folder so I don't lose these. 22 oxygen bar. All right. So we have our level. It's called events. It currently has a dude in it. If we hit control, it fires a little bullet that hurts him, and if he's in the water, he loses health. He loses air. So you can lose health from getting shot by these, and he loses air. But if he loses all of his air or gets shot all the way, nothing happens. It just keeps, the game just keeps running. So what we want to do is we want to create an event. So let's start with the health bar. So we're going to do player health. Poop. And what we're going to do is we're going to define an event. And the way you do it is you define a delegate, which is just a function declaration, but you say public delegate before it, and then you define a event. And this doesn't have to be static, although we're going to make it static. Static means it can be accessed from anywhere, and that'll be fine in this case. We're only going to have one health bar. We're going to kind of pretend it's a singleton. It doesn't have to be one. We just have the static event. It'll work out just fine as long as we only have one of them. If we have multiple of them, I'm not quite sure what it would do. I would imagine that each one would send out the event when it reached. So it'd still work, but you might get multiple events when you don't expect them. Might even look to see what that does. So I'm going to define these up here. I'm going to define them after our variables, just because I like seeing the variables right at the top. So we're going to do public delegate void, and what we're going to call this is what's a good name for out of health? Let's call it on health empty. Let's say on no health. Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Doesn't really matter what we call it. So now you can define this actually with return values, which are really hard to understand, but you can also define it with parameters, which you can actually use very effectively. But in this case, we just want to give it an event. We just want to basically call a function that this thing is going, and we're going to make this static. So public static. Wait, no, we're not making the static. We're going to make the event static. So the event is the same type of deal, except for we use the delegate to define the event. So we do public static event, and then we give it the delegate name on no health. Do we need to give the brackets? No, we don't. And then we Oh, I see click action. They're trying to be real fancy. Okay, so maybe it would be better to just call this, I'm just going to call it a health event. And we'll call this health event on no health. Is that all we need? Yeah. So now what we can do is we can call on no health as if it is a function. And what we can do is, what we want to do that is when current health, if current health, naturally it doesn't auto, current health, there we go. If current health is less than or equal to 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to say current health equals 0, and we're going to call our no health thing. So we're going to just say on no health. So now if we save this, let's see if it compiled. Nope, messed something up. Current health, equals 0. We don't want to check to see if it's 0. We want to set it to 0. This is in case it goes below 0. Really, we only want to send this off once when we hit the bottom, but we might worry about that later in a second. So so now what we can do, if we hit play right now, when we just shoot this stuff, actually we'll probably get a null reference exception. Let's find out. So, yep, null reference exception. So the reason we got a null reference exception is nothing's actually currently being called on no health. There's nothing there. So if we do a check for null, so if on no health does not equal null, then we can call this message and we won't get that null reference exception, even if nothing is subscribed to it. Sometimes you might want to leave that null reference exception in there because then you know that you're in a situation where nothing is subscribed. But as you can see, now we're back to the situation where nothing happens, so it's not very interesting. So all we have to do now is we need to make a script that subscribes to this. So I'm going to create a new script. We're going to create this C# script, and we're going to call this player. Let's call this. I'm going to call it player logic. I'm just going to call it player. No, let's call it player logic. So we created this script called player logic. I'm going to put it so that it's not in a folder. There we go. And what this player logic script is going to do is we're going to handle what we do in our health stuff. So actually, I'm not even going to call it player logic. We're going to make it component based like we did before. I'm not going to wrap this all into one nice tidy bow. We're going to create a C# script, and we're going to call this die on no health. There we go. And we're going to save this. I guess I shouldn't have saved that because it probably created another bad thing. No, maybe not. All right, so die on no health. And all we're going to do is we're going to subscribe to the delegates. So in Unity, you want to subscribe on enable and you want to unsubscribe on disable. This is just the pattern that you want to use. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set an on enable, void on enable. You definitely want to remember to unsubscribe on disable as well. Otherwise there will be problems. Void on disable. And the way you subscribe is using the plus equals nomenclature. You can actually just use equals. So basically we can do player health. Why is player health not? We still have a player health, right? Yeah. Okay, whatever. Player health dot. What? I hate that autocomplete's not working. So player health. Autosave found user original file. What is going on here? Load from autosave. Okay, I'm going to just save this again. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it will work now. Player health. There we go. Player health. Please. Thank you. All right. On no health. There we go. And what you actually do is you add a function that you want to call. So I'm just going to call it on no health. I'm going to just do... so you could do equals on no health. We haven't defined it right now. But if you do that, that means this will be the only thing in the delegates. If you do plus equals, though, this will add it to it. So if something else subscribes, it will also get the message. So you never want to use equals if you're setting up an event system. You always want to use plus equals. And then the way you disable it is the same thing, except for you do minus equals. And then finally, we actually need to define our on no health. So on no health. And this is just basically what we typed here. We can call this anything. It doesn't have to be called the same thing. I just think that it's less confusing if it's called the same thing. Maybe it's more confusing for you. If it is, please change it. Change it to on no health local, or call it I'm out of health, or whatever you want to do. So on no health, all we're going to do is destroy game object. And actually, I'm going to get rid of the... No, let's just leave that. So let's just save. And we're going to hit play. And so we're going to dip in the water a little bit, but not enough to drown. And we're going to do this, and nothing will happen because we didn't actually put this on the player. We're going to put it on player one front. Is that an appropriate place? Yes. Now, we could have also just done this as a destroy on the... there it goes. We, of course, could have just done this as a destroy, just built into the player health system. And that would be valid. This might give you more tools, though, if you need multiple things to happen when a player health happens. Like if you need the scene to fade out. So when you find out that you're out of health, you play your death animation, you play your ending music, you play your out of health music. You know, there's a bunch of different things you could do. And each of these things could subscribe and get these things. You can, of course, hook these up directly, which is what we do on the show all the time. And I honestly think that a lot of times that's more clear what's going on, but events are another tool in your toolbox now, so you can do more stuff with it. So let's do one more thing before we finish up here. Let's make it so that when the health bar is, when the oxygen bar is down, we also get an event. So we're going to switch to our oxygen bar, player oxygen, and we're going to just set it up very similarly here. I'm just going to call it, we're going to call it oxygen event. Event, and on no oxygen. We're going to call this oxygen event. And then we do the same thing down at the bottom. We're just going to do... So did we already do... So we didn't already check. So we need to check it here. So we'll do the full... We'll copy this whole thing over because it's very similar. Alright, so if current oxygen is less than or equal to 0, current oxygen equals 0. If on no oxygen does not equal null, on no oxygen. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is, in the health manager, we're going to actually switch this thing to be floats. Float. I'm going to do 10.0f. I'm going to switch these to... it doesn't matter. Those will still work. Zeros always work for some reason. So I just want to make sure that still compiles good. So what we're going to do is... I wasn't sure if the plus plus was going to work or the minus minus, but evidently it just minuses a whole value, so that's cool. So now what we're going to do is, in our player health, we're going to void on enable... We're going to register for the player oxygen event. So player oxygen dot, what do we call this thing? On no oxygen equals on no oxygen. And, plus equals. I may need to kick the dog out of my room in a second here. Go away! Hold on. Sassy, I'm in the middle of a show. Can you go away, please? Please? calm Sassy down? I'm doing a show. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. All right. So, minus no oxygen. There we go. So, now what we can do is we can do void on no oxygen. And what I'm going to do is we're going to just start draining the health at that point in the same way that we drained our oxygen. So we're just going to do current health minus equals time dot delta time. This is why I changed it to floats here, so that we can actually just subtract a float from it. So now if we hit play, if we go into the water, we start losing oxygen, and then once we run out of oxygen, we will start hopefully running out of health. And we didn't. So that's real exciting. That didn't work. Let's see what just happened here. So, wait, what is this? On enable. I don't think we saved any of this because I don't think that would have compiled. No, that would have compiled, but all right. On enable has already been done. Oh, it has. On disable. File save. Let's try it one more time. I'm hoping this will work. I don't see why it wouldn't. Hopefully we're actually calling it everywhere. Maybe I missed a step somewhere. Nope, doesn't look like it's working. Oh, it is working. We just can't tell. And the reason we can't tell is because we're lowering the health, but we're not changing the health bar value. So honestly, we should probably break this out real quick. Let's just do it. Void reduce health float amount. So we're just going to make this a generic thing that updates the bar, and then we'll call it everywhere we need it. So current health minus equals amount. We do this logic here, so we don't have to duplicate our logic everywhere. And now instead of doing this, we will just do enter reduce health, and we would just do 1.0 in this case, 1.0f. And then in this case, we do reduce health time dot delta time. So this is if we get hit, we lose one whole health unit. If we are out of oxygen, we start losing health over time. So let's see if this works. Health is going down, health is going down. Probably should have made these bars smaller, but that's okay. And, I mean, oxygen's going down. And now health's going down. And boom, we died. Perfect. So that's basic, this is basic event system stuff. Hopefully you'll see some use for this. I highly recommend checking out, Unity has a really good scripting series now in video. So if you like video tutorials and you want to learn more about the scripting specifics, this is all very C-sharpy stuff as opposed to, with a Unity bias. I mean, like, they're showing you how to use the stuff within the context of Unity, which is exactly what you want. So, so this is in the intermediate, quote-unquote, intermediate scripting section. I'm sure they have a beginner scripting section as well. Probably topics, script, well, that's not a link for some reason. But yeah, anyway, you should check this out. Check out delegates and events, reinforce what we've learned on this episode, and yeah, have fun. So thank you very much for joining. If you have any questions, please email me, pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Drakfyre, Drakfyre. We are on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/cookingwithunity. You can donate to the show. If you donate to the show, you get access to the super repo. I've been going through some of my old stuff, and I'm going to be dumping a whole lot of just random stuff to look at for both Unity and other things today. So there'll be more content on there as of today. And Thank you very much. You guys have a great one.